everyone. My name's Tamara, and I'm the founder of Stirrups and Spirits. I want to welcome you to our inaugural episode. And for this episode, I wanted to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about the podcast. I grew up around horses, and as a competitive equestrian nearly my entire life, I've experienced a lot in the horse world. Add in that in recent years, I've developed a taste for bourbon and have started exploring its rich history and connections to the horse world. Well, talking about it seemed like a great idea. So I joined an organization a couple years ago called Bourbon Women. Now, if you aren't familiar with them, look them up. It's an extraordinary group with branches all across the country. After getting involved, I decided I might want to develop a post-retirement career, or at least a hobby in the bourbon world, where I can combine my affection for bourbon and horses. Bourbon Women's a great place to get these ideas launched and off the ground. They hold a national conference every year called Symposium in Louisville, Kentucky. And last year, I was fortunate enough to be granted a scholarship to attend this conference. I was blown away by the amount of new friends I met, the amount of education I received, and by all the fun that was had. It truly was like summer camp for adults. I was expertly paired with a mentor, Brandy, who helped me get acquainted with everyone and help me network into whatever folds of the industry I was interested in. There's so much history, so much education, so much more to it than just cooking and bottling brown liquor. The folklore and history alone can take a lifetime of research, and it's so interesting. But there's the product development, blending, art design, marketing, and each facet just amazing as the next. And the bourbon industry is a huge family. Despite being retail competitors, the players in the industry lend hands to each other and share resources, which is pretty unique. At the time, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be more involved. And pairing that with my amateur social media skills, I dove in. My first official job came just a couple months after SIP as the social media manager for the Bourbon Women Florida branch. Soon after, I became a branch ambassador for Bourbon Women Florida, and now I organize events for our state, network with all kinds of bourbon industry folks, and continue to get educated on everything bourbon. My mentor's been instrumental in helping me gain experiences to further my adventures, and thanks to her, I was able to help pilot a new program being developed at the St. Augustine Distillery, Distiller for a Day. It was an amazing experience making bourbon and gin alongside their staff, and I've also become a certified bourbon steward. Again, thanks to Brandy for arranging that as well. After lots of networking and long talks with Brandy and my husband, Jesse, the podcast idea started to develop. It's been a year in the thought process, doing research and watching a lot of other podcasts. And I'm still in the learning phase of this whole thing, and I'm sure these episodes will improve as we go, but this podcast is intended to be fun, a little educational, and very entertaining. So I hope you join me for future episodes, and I look forward to your comments, encouragement, and support. I know there's a million podcasts out there where everyone talks about a bourbon, tastes a bourbon, reviews a bourbon, and I'm sure we'll bring you some of that here too. But I also want to talk to people in all aspects of the industry and find out how they're working to change or improve the industry, the innovations that are helping it grow, and how they're going to leave their mark on the history of bourbon. On the equestrian side of things, there'll be little tidbits thrown in here and there, updates on my personal equestrian journey with my quarter horse tadpole. We show on the American Quarter Horse Association and American Paint Horse Association circuits. We've had our fair share of trials and tribulations, some personal triumphs, and have felt the agony of defeat. But he's a fun partner to show with, and he'll even make an appearance here maybe after a while. We'll also talk a little racing, mainly Triple Crown races, thoroughbred racing, as there's a huge connection between the Kentucky Derby, of course, and the bourbon world. And with the Olympics coming up this summer, we'll highlight some events there as well. And with the beautiful World Equestrian Center Ocala right in our backyard, we'll highlight some of their events, of course, too. Many interesting horse topics bleed over into bourbon, Kentucky being at the heart of both. So before I sign off, I also want to call attention to our website, stirrupsandspirits.com. We'll have links to episodes posted there, as well as there's links to all of our social media sites. There's also a contact us button on the page. So please reach out if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast. We can promote your new brand, do a tasting, discuss hot topics in the industry, whatever you want to talk about. We're always looking for people to interview and have as guests on the podcast for future episodes. So hit me up because I would love to talk to you. So that's a little bit about me and the podcast and what you have to look forward to. So thanks for watching. Keep tuning in, and we'll see you right here next time on Stirrups and Spirits. Cheers.